Right now, your body is running thousands of simultaneous processes to keep you alive. The second those processes stop, something even more extraordinary begins. Death begins. Scientists recently confirmed something about human decomposition that connects every atom inside you to events that happened billions of years before Earth existed. I'll reveal exactly what it is before this video ends. Most people won't make it past the 3-minute mark of a video like this. If you do, you'll understand something about your own existence that most people never grasp. Stay to the final minute. Death is not ending. What happens to your body after you die is a step-by-step, scientifically precise journey through the most extraordinary biological sequence you will ever experience. Cell by cell, minute by minute, from your final heartbeat to the moment your atoms become something new. By the end, you won't be afraid of death anymore. You'll be in awe of it. The moment your heart stops, a countdown begins. And the first thing that happens is something your body has been holding back every second you've been alive. Your cells are powered by ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the body's universal energy currency. Without oxygen from flowing blood, your cells cannot manufacture ATP. Within seconds of your heart stopping, your cellular power grid begins to fail. Your neurons, the most energy-hungry cells in your body, feel it first. Neuroscientists studying cardiac arrest patients have documented something remarkable: a brief surge of high-frequency gamma-wave brain activity, firing at levels that exceed normal waking consciousness. In the moments immediately after the heart stops, brain fires one last burst, as if consciousness burns through its final reserves in one last desperate surge. Within 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen, permanent brain damage begins. Neurons die irreversibly. The thing that made you uniquely you starts to dissolve. But your body is just getting started. And what happens to your muscles in the hours that follow has puzzled humans for centuries, until modern chemistry finally explained the mechanism. And the answer is stranger than anything the ancient Greeks imagined. Here's something that will reframe how you think about your own biology. Your cells don't simply power down when you die. They turn on themselves. The process is called autolysis, literally self-digestion. Every cell in your body contains organelles called lysosomes, sealed compartments packed with powerful digestive enzymes. While you're alive, those compartments stay intact. The moment ATP runs out and cell membranes lose structural integrity, the lysosomes rupture and those enzymes spill directly into the cell, which begins consuming itself from within. The organs that succumb to autolysis fastest are those richest in digestive enzymes. Your pancreas literally begins digesting itself within hours. Your liver follows. Researchers at the University of Leicester documented how dying cells release inflammatory signals that accelerate the collapse of neighboring cells. A cascading chain reaction of cellular self-destruction encoded in your DNA from birth. Every cell holds its own demolition. This isn't random damage. It's a precision demolition sequence written into your biology. If that just gave you chills, hit like and subscribe, because what comes next will genuinely disturb you in the best way. The bacteria haven't arrived yet, and they have been waiting your entire life for this exact moment. 2 to 4 hours after death, your body begins changing color, and the cause is something so fundamental it's almost unsettling. Without a beating heart, gravity does what it has always been trying to do. Your blood, no longer being pumped, pools in the lowest parts of your body. Skin touching the floor turns deep purple-red. Skin facing upward goes pale and waxy. This process is called livor mortis, post-mortem lividity, and it is one of the most reliable forensic tools available to investigators. Purple marks where gravity wins. The pattern of discoloration tells forensic pathologists not just when you died, but how your body was positioned in the immediate aftermath, and critically, whether someone moved you after death. If the lividity doesn't match the final resting position, it means the body was repositioned. Real investigations, real exonerations, real convictions have hinged on this simple observation of color and gravity. The science of settling blood has sent killers to prison and freed innocent people in equal measure. But while blood pools below, Your muscles are undergoing a chemical transformation above that locks them in place with a force that interferes with emergency medical procedures. Something ancient civilizations explained with supernatural causes, that modern chemistry solved with a single ion. And the mechanism reveals something extraordinary about how every muscle in your body actually works. 2 to 6 hours after death, your muscles begin to lock, not stiffen, concrete, rigid, immovable, as if cast in stone. This is rigor mortis, and the chemistry behind it reveals something extraordinary about how muscle contraction actually works. Every voluntary muscle movement in your living body depends on calcium ions flowing into muscle fibers, causing proteins to slide and generate contraction, and ATP actively pumping those calcium ions back out when you want to relax. The moment ATP production fails permanently, the calcium pumps stop. Calcium floods into every muscle fiber with nothing left to remove it, locking every fiber in permanent contraction. Calcium floods every fiber permanently. Rigor mortis affects every muscle in the body. Skeletal, cardiac, even the tiny muscles controlling your eyes and facial expression. It peaks around 12 hours after death, creating the rigid, fixed appearance that has inspired stories across every culture throughout history. Then, paradoxically, it begins to release, not because energy returns, but because autolysis destroys the muscle proteins themselves. By 48 to 72 hours, muscles lose their rigidity as the cellular infrastructure collapses completely. Ambient temperature governs the entire timeline. Cold slows it dramatically, heat accelerates it. A detail that has played a decisive role in numerous forensic investigations. But while your muscles have been in lockdown, 38 trillion organisms inside you have been patiently waiting. And that wait is now over. This is the part that should make you deeply uncomfortable, because while your heart was beating, you were hosting trillions of microorganisms. Approximately 38 trillion bacteria in your gut alone, plus trillions more on your skin, in your lungs, in your mouth. They were symbionts, partners. They helped you digest food, synthesize vitamins, train your immune system, even regulate your mood through the gut-brain axis. The second you die, your immune system can no longer contain them. They switch from partners to consumers. Autolysis weakens intestinal walls, allowing gut bacteria to escape into the abdominal cavity. They spread tissue by tissue, organ by organ, moving through the body in a predictable, almost choreographed sequence. Scientists at the University of Colorado studying the Thanatar microbiome, the death microbiome, discovered this bacterial invasion follows a strikingly consistent pattern across individuals, suggesting a biological program more organized than anyone anticipated. Your body becomes a feast, systematically dismantled by the very organisms you nurtured your entire life. And when those bacteria begin generating gas in massive quantities, the next stage of decomposition becomes something visible, measurable, and chemically extraordinary in ways that will permanently change how you think about organic chemistry. Stay with me, because the next fact makes everything up to this point look mild. This next one. This is the one that makes chemistry visceral in a way no textbook ever manages. Between 24 and 72 hours after death, your body begins to swell, not slightly, dramatically, visibly. As bacteria multiply exponentially through your tissues, they produce gases as metabolic byproducts, primarily hydrogen sulfide, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. These gases accumulate inside body cavities and tissue layers. The abdomen expands first, then the face, the limbs, the entire body inflating from within. Methane builds inside every cavity. Researchers have found that the exact composition of these gases varies based on environment, diet, age, and the unique microbiome of each individual. Your decomposition carries a chemical fingerprint. No two people decompose in precisely the same way. In extreme cases, the internal pressure becomes sufficient to rupture tissues, push fluid through skin layers, and cause changes recognizable to forensic investigators from a distance. But the bloat phase serves a critical ecological function that reframes everything disturbing about it. The volatile organic compounds rising from this process create a chemical signal, detectable by certain animals, from over a mile away. Your death becomes a dinner bell for dozens of species, and the specific molecules carrying that signal have names that sound invented by a horror novelist. What I'm about to tell you next is one of the stranger documented facts in all of organic chemistry. Here's something your chemistry teacher never covered. The smell associated with death has been precisely mapped at the molecular level, and the two compounds most responsible have names that tell the whole story: putrescine and cadaverine. These are biogenic amines produced as bacteria break down amino acids. Lysine produces cadaverine, ornithine produces putrescine. Both exist in living bodies in trace amounts during normal cellular turnover. In decomposition, they are produced in overwhelming quantities. Putrescine, cadaverine, releasing from every tissue. The olfactory sensitivity of blowflies to these compounds is so extreme that individual molecules trigger a navigational response, enabling them to locate a body from over a mile away with precision. Different species arrive in predictable waves, each responding to specific chemical signatures as decomposition advances, providing forensic entomologists with a biological clock for estimating time of death across a broad range of environmental conditions. These chemical signals attract not just insects, but a full succession of organisms, each arriving precisely when the chemical environment matches their specific biological needs. In nature, nothing is created, nothing is lost, everything is transformed. The chemistry of death is not destruction, it is conversion. Highly organized matter being disassembled into fundamental components, ready to be rebuilt into something new. And the organisms arriving next perform this reconstruction with a coordination that looks less like chaos and more like a master plan. What happens in the next stage is where nature reveals just how ruthlessly efficient it truly is. What I'm about to describe sounds deeply unsettling, but I want you to stay with me, because by the end of this segment, I promise you'll see it as one of the most elegant systems in all of nature. Blowflies of the family Calliphoridae can detect the chemical signals of death within minutes of the final breath. In documented cases, they arrive before death in critically ill patients, guided entirely by those molecular signals. The first generation of eggs is laid almost immediately. In warm conditions, the first wave of maggots can reduce a human body to bare skeleton in as few as 10 days. But this is not chaos. It is a synchronized biological succession. Forensic entomologist M. Lee Goff, whose career cataloged insect succession patterns across hundreds of decomposition studies on multiple continents, documented that species arrive in consistent, predictable waves regardless of the individual or location. Species succeed species in perfect sequence. Fly larvae first, consuming soft tissue, then carrion beetles processing dried tissue, then mite colonies, then moth larvae consuming remaining hair and fiber, each species arriving precisely when the chemical and physical environment matches its biological requirements, a relay race stretching across weeks. Meanwhile, vultures and scavengers work from above. Soil, bacteria, and fungi work from below. Dozens of species sustained by a single human death. Nothing wasted. Every gram of tissue, every molecule of fat, every protein fiber returned to the ecosystem. But even when all of this is complete, even when nothing visible remains, something continues. Something that will finally answer the question I raised at the very beginning. And the answer is going to change how you see being alive. Here's the part I promised you at the very beginning, the part that kept me up at night when I first truly understood it. Your body is made of atoms. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, iron. None of those atoms were created when you were born. Every single one of them is borrowed. You are a temporary arrangement of ancient matter. The carbon in your body was once atmospheric CO2. Before that, inside other organisms stretching back through millions of years of biological history. And before that, physicists and astrophysicists have confirmed that the heavier elements in your body, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the phosphorus in your DNA, were forged inside the cores of massive stars in nuclear fusion reactions that occurred billions of years before Earth formed. We are made of star stuff. When you decompose, those atoms don't disappear. They scatter into soil, water, and atmosphere, entering new organisms within years, new ecosystems within decades. The carbon in your body today will be inside a tree within your grandchildren's lifetimes. The iron from your blood will enter new blood. Your atoms will exist inside a human being born 100 years from now, with no idea they were once arranged into you. Your atoms have always existed. Does this make death terrifying? Or does it make it something completely different? Comment borrowed or eternal right now. I genuinely want to know which one lands for you. And if this changed how you see your own existence, share this with as many people as you possibly can. This is the kind of truth that deserves to reach far beyond this screen. Here's the open question I want to leave you with, the one I hinted at in the very first seconds of this video. If every atom in your body has existed for billions of years, if those atoms have been in oceans, in ancient forests, in creatures that went extinct before humanity existed, then what exactly is dying? Death is not the end of you. It is the end of one particular arrangement of you. Physicists studying isotopic signatures in human remains can literally trace the geographic and historical origin of atoms in your bones. The water you drank, the food you consumed, the specific region of Earth whose soil shaped your physical structure. We are walking geological records. Every person who has ever lived left their atoms behind. And some of those atoms are inside you right now, without anyone knowing it. Death is not where matter ends. It is where it continues its oldest journey. Researchers in biogeochemistry have shown that every large organism alive today contains atoms that were once part of organisms going back to the dawn of life itself. We are not separate entities. We are the same matter, rearranging across time. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of collapsing stars. You are the universe experiencing itself. Death is terrifying only until you understand what is actually happening. And now, you do. If you made it this far, comment Stardust returning. Because that is exactly what you are, and exactly what happens to every body that has ever existed. The truth is stranger than anything you could make up. What happens to your body after you die is not a story about ending. It is a story about one of the most precise, orchestrated, and ultimately extraordinary sequences in all of nature. You are not erased. You are returned. The atoms borrowed from the universe, briefly assembled into the extraordinary pattern that is you, scattered back to continue their journey through existence. You were made of ancient matter, and to ancient matter you return. That is not tragedy. That is a cosmic truth. Stardust to stardust, always. The truth is stranger than anything you could make up.